Good morning, gang. Happy Saturday morning. Okay, Dark 30 here in East Tennessee, and we get into it. Well, quietly under the radar yesterday, last night, how are we going to put it? Uh, Another victim to the Bidenomics has hit us. We had another bank failure yesterday. Now, it was known that it was going to happen, but never made the news. Nobody told you. Anybody up in Pennsylvania have any deposits at First Republic Bank Corp? Yeah. Uh, well, come Monday morning, it won't be First Republic Bank Corp anymore. It's going to be Fulton Bank that you're now banking at because First Republic folded last night and the FDIC had to come in and bail them out. Reminiscent of last spring, huh? Now, I'll give you this. First Republic was nowhere near the size of Silicon Valley Bank or Signature. Those were $100 billion, $200 billion banks. First Republic was about a $6 billion bank. And people say, well, it's a small bank. Unless you were one of those people who had an account there and your money was added into that total of $6 billion. That may be a little interesting. Now, the FDIC says that it's going to cost them about $667 million to bail out the bank. And you go, well, if there was $6 billion, how come it's only 667? It's like 11%. Right, but the issue is, what did the bank invest in? Like most other banks, they took your deposits, your savings account, or whatever it is, and they went and bought bonds last year, 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, when interest rates were down 1-2%. Now interest rates are up 4 or 5%. And as the interest rate goes up, the value, current day value of those bonds goes down. And I've explained this how APR and the price of a bond have an inverse relation to it before. If you haven't seen that, go back and watch that. Okay. But so all of a sudden the banks had all this money that they paid $1,000 face for a bond that was now worth $900. Doesn't work that well. Now, if they held to maturity, of course, they'd get their $1,000 back. Or so they hope, because that's assuming that the U.S. Treasury still exists 5, 10, 20, 30 years from now. Yeah, hopefully. But we'll see. This is the other casualty to the interest rate debacle, the inflation debacle that Bidenomics has got us into. It's not just, oh my God, groceries are more expensive or housing is out of control, gasoline, anything like that. By the Fed raising rates as aggressively as they did, the banks, anybody that was invested in the bond market a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, is underwater. Think about it. It does. Let's say you put $1,000 in, and you were getting. Let's be optimistic here and say you were getting 2% interest. Okay. You put $1,000 in, you're getting $20 in interest a year. Okay, it sucks, but that's what you're getting. Well, now that money that you hoped was worth $1,020 at the end of the year is now worth $920, well, actually less, but $920 a year. Great. I put my money where it was supposed to be safe, and I lost $100. I lost 10%. I didn't make 2. Now start adding zeros to the back end of that, and that's what banks are under. Okay? Because a bank has to have liquidity. If all of a sudden all of the depositors, you and me, go to the bank and want their money out, anything, I mean, pick something, something happens, and there's a run on cash. We've seen that in many countries: Lebanon, Russia, Europe, continent, obviously. They didn't have the cash to do it. And so, therefore, they got shut down. Okay. Banks are supposed to be a safe place to put your money, not a risky place. This is the thing, and I was talking about this yesterday. Just because you put your money into a safe investment doesn't mean whoever you invested it with also puts the money into a safe investment. And then we have a domino effect. The logic of the banks still dumbfounds me. I mean, knowing what they know, I mean, people that run banks, you'd expect them to be pretty astute in finance. And to take a look and go, we've got all these millions of dollars of deposits. Let's put it in something that's going to earn us 1%. That's what they did. Why? I have no idea. They're not supposed to take any risk, okay, with your savings account. It's kind of the whole point of doing it with your CD. It's supposed to be a practically risk-free investment. But there's a big difference in putting something in a risk-free investment and a stupid investment. When you were getting 1% return on your money 3 years ago, even under Donald Trump in the last years of his presidency, inflation was running at 1.7%. So the bank was guaranteeing themselves to lose money. When do you know anybody with a lick of common sense in their life has ever done something on purpose that would guarantee to lose them money? Makes no sense. You're saving for your retirement, probably, or your kid's education, or your house, or your next car. Imagine going into your bank or your brokerage firm or whoever you have, if you have anybody helping you manage money. Imagine walking in there and the guy saying to you, Mr. Jones, I've got this great investment for you. You'll only lose this amount of money each year. How long would you be sitting at his desk? He probably couldn't get the seat cooled off before you were out the door. Okay. But that's what these banks did. Now, we've talked many times, and this has been talked about even in the media last year, about the consolidation of the banking industry. That we're going to go down, we've heard stories anywhere from between 2 banks and 6 banks, and that's it. I want you to think about how anti-capitalism that is. I mean, our entire economic system is built on competition. It's why there's antitrust laws, okay? You look at, and again, go back to the breakup of AT&T. AT&T was a monopoly. We can't have monopolies. You look at the, I don't know, pick anything else. I mean, AT&T is just the easiest example that everybody knows. You know, you had all the baby bells, as they were called. But then you start looking at what's slowly being introduced to us under our face. Do the names, I don't know, Pan Am, Eastern Airlines, those ring a bell? They don't exist anymore. We're now down to, in the United States, basically 3 major carriers: United, Delta, an American. Southwest is kind of a medium one. Okay, reason I say they wouldn't consider them, you don't have international flights, say to Europe or something on Southwest. Okay, but we're seeing this in every industry. Take a look at the grocery industry. Kroger is buying up the competition as fast as they can. They want to be the only one. You know, start looking at a lot of industries. How many search engine companies are out there? Oh, sure, Microsoft's got Bing, or I use Brave, or you have DuckDuckGo. But who's really competing with Google? Nobody really. Okay. And Google will eventually swallow those other ones up. That's how communism works. That's exactly what the Biden administration, the Obama administration, and every Democrat administration that we ever have again is pushing us toward. We don't see it on the surface, but it's there. All the stores that got shut down because of Walmart. Seen a Kmart lately? No. Seen a Woolworths? No. Walmart and Amazon destroyed them. Okay. Amongst millions of small businesses. Small hardware stores? Ace tries to hang on. Maybe you have a privately owned one, a do-it-best hardware around you. But primarily, it's Home Depot and Lowe's. That's it. There's competition. There's two. Okay. That's it. You want to see how communism works? That's exactly how it does. That's how it's implemented. Limit the amount of companies, and that way the government has much easier way of controlling it. There's only one grocery store, the government can easily get in there and it's easier to control one grocery store than 600. Okay. It's easier to control one hardware store or two hardware stores than it is to control 50. And when they control the one or two, we're totally at their mercy. Another bank fell. Eventually, it's going to be the domino effect. And it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 10 and 50 and 100 and 1,000. And everybody's going to go, crap, what happened? It's another situation where if you don't hold it, you don't own it. We all know that fiat currency, pick one, doesn't matter if it's the dollar, the yen, the pound, the euro, whatever. We all know those are getting more and more and more and more worthless every day. Just do whatever you can to protect what you have while you have it before our lovely liberal government and their poor policy decisions take it all away from you. Not in the way of confiscation, but in the way of just making it worthless. Pinball out.